I surrendered to peer pressure. Resistance was futile. Poison Ivy from Sideshow has entered the secret sanctuary. The Sideshow Poison Ivy premium format was first revealed in January of 2018, 2.5 to almost 3 years ago now. And you may remember that the initial response was rather strong. You either loved it or you hated it. And if you hated it for any number of reasons. And to be honest, I was among that group. I didn't really understand what Sideshow was going for with the musculature of her back. That was my big deal. Other people had other reasons, and we'll go over that in a minute. But my opinion did evolve over time. There was some peer pressure from other people who have purchased it. And also another factor was that Sideshow has finally clicked into Batman's rogues. We've had some really excellent releases lately with Scarecrow and Mr. Freeze. And so it seemed logical to include her in that group. So I finally went for it. I had some rewards points. I had a $25 coupon from Sideshow, and they are offering free shipping on her. So I thought, what the heck? So let's take a closer look. So I always like to start with kind of a long shot view, give you an idea how she looks in the sanctuary. Got some natural light coming in through the window, so she's lit pretty well. We'll start at this rocky base, which is well done, sort of uniform in color. It would have been nice to bring in some more color to that maybe, but it works. And then we have this flower. Of course, first we have the roots. The roots look really good, nice thick roots. And then we have this, this flower, which is one of the highlights of the piece. Not just for the sculpt, but for the paint. You can see the reds highlighting the black areas. And just the texturing inside here is really, really, really well done. Super easy to assemble, only has 7 or 8 pieces altogether. Some folks have complained they wanted this area of the plant to be not so similar to her color, just to differentiate the two. I can understand that, but it's clear where one ends and she begins. Give you some close-up of the toes there. So there's a little bit of, looks like webbing between the toes. That's not perfect, but it's acceptable. Other than that, the paint looks good. We've got these branches wrapping around her, and the paint there looks strong. It looks good. She tends to photograph slightly more yellow than she actually is. She's more of a deep green. It's sculpted by Steve Lord. I suspect Steve Lord was a Veronica Lake fan. She kind of made this hairstyle famous of it falling over the right eye back in the early 1940s. If you don't know Veronica Lake, take a look at Sullivan's Travels. That's a really good movie that she's in. The War Department approached her in the early 40s because women were copying her hairstyle, and they were working in the factories at that time during the war, and they kept getting their hair caught in the machinery. So the War Department actually approached the actress and said, hey, could you stop promoting that hairstyle? And she did. And some people think that hurt her career. So she's got flowers growing in the hair. This seems to be the preferred portrait. There is an alternate. I'm not so sure it's my favorite, but I will show you the other and we'll talk about that. It's well painted. I'm not sure if mine are perfectly aligned or not. They might be a little wonky. I'm not sure. But if they're off, they're not off a lot. Okay, so here was the major topic of conversation when she was revealed. Poison Ivy is not known as a character that you would imagine working out. You know, she's more of a, goddess of the plant world. You know, her power is controlling plants. It's not like she's getting into, one-on-one combat with people. So there was some, confusion as to why Sideshow decided to go this route with her. I saw someone on one of the forums describe her as CrossFit Ivy. And some people thought that the portrait was not as feminine as it could be. Some people thought it might look a little mannish. So those were a couple of the problems they had. There was also a problem with one of her hands. Was it this one? I think it was this one. Mine doesn't have the problem, but there was kind of some webbing between two of the fingers of, I think, of this hand, where the paint just stuck. But mine looks good. I imagine that the idea of this, or the story behind it, is I can imagine, Batman approaching the scene and that this flower is completely closed and that it opens up and these light green plants kind of bear her aloft out of the plant, which I think is kind of neat. Oh, one of the other big complaints is that she looks really great from this angle. But again, because of the Veronica Lake hairstyle, you can't see her face at all from this angle. So you pretty much are committed to this angle. You could go a little further, like that. But for the most part, when I'm seeing other people's collection pictures, they're showing her about like this, which looks really nice, but you do miss out on a really nice sculpt from this angle. All right, let's take a look at the other portrait. So here's the alternate portrait. I'll come in right in on it. And when I first saw this, I thought, oh, that one's pretty good. And I was very surprised. I took a look at Statue Forum, and the response to this portrait was terrible. They were calling it, like Medusa or like Fiona from the Shrek movies. There was any number of complaints and frankly ridicule about this portrait, which I didn't really get. I kind of like it. One of the complaints was the plants creeping in from her hair onto her forehead. I don't see that as being at all strange, considering it's happening all over her body. Some people thought it looked demonic. Well, okay, she's a supervillain. I'm not sure that that's terribly out of character. I think it's a pretty nice portrait. No one talked about it looking mannish. And if you want that nice angle like this, you at least get some of her face. So it works from that perspective, which I think is a plus. There's a lot more volume of hair than the other portrait, which works for me. Let me see if I can grab the other one. So I think it's cool because sometimes you get alternate portraits that aren't terribly different from each other. These two portraits are extremely different from each other. So you get two very good options, or one if you really don't like one of the portraits. But I suspect if you don't like one, you're going to like the other. I don't know. I really like this portrait, but I think I'm in the minority. I've heard a lot of people talk about not liking this one for some reason, but it works for me. So this is where she'll be displayed, right between Scarecrow and Mr. Freeze. I originally had Catwoman in that spot, but I'm moving her out to bring in Ivy, and Catwoman will go next to Batman over here in my Justice League lineup, which isn't perfect, having Catwoman in there, but she looks so good next to that PF, that Batman PF, that it works really well. And these three, I think, just look fantastic together. And this shelf is, if I'm sitting on my couch watching TV, this is my view if I look straight ahead. It's really nice. And I have a background coming, one of those peel and stick posters. And I haven't decided if I'm going to use it or not. I might just keep this with the plain light blue background just because it makes them so much more visible. I'm worried that the peel and stick background will distract from them. But man, you wouldn't want to come up against those three. They look pretty intimidating. Wanted to give you a good view of the art box. It's got a really nice image of the statue on the front with Poison Ivy up on top, some nice foliage around her. That extends onto the side and then onto the back where we have a slightly different angle of her and from further away. Looks really good. And then on the top it just says Poison Ivy again. And on the bottom I got number 350 out of 800. That 800 edition size is larger than we had for Mr. Freeze and Scarecrow, which were 500 each. So that might be why these have lasted a bit longer, while the exclusive of those two other characters, Scarecrow and Mr. Freeze, have already sold out. So that's Poison Ivy. I'm really glad I got her. It took me 2.5 years to figure it out, but I'm very pleased that I finally did pick her up. It just made sense with Sideshow finally coming out with these rogues. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do if Sideshow continues with Two-Face and Riddler and the Penguin, because I'm out of space. I mean, I can just barely fit the three of those rogues, Mr. Freeze and Scarecrow and Ivy, on that shelf, which is a brand new shelf. I just put that shelf up when Scarecrow came out. So I don't know what to do. I expect if they bring out those other three characters, or there's a lot of Batman villains. They're probably going to be just as nice as these three, so I'm not sure how I'm going to handle that. If you're interested in this piece, I will put a link in the description where you can pick it up for yourself. The collector's edition is sold out. It's gone. The exclusive is still in stock. It's low stock remaining. I never know what that means. Does that mean they have 100 left or 10? I don't know. But some pieces have gone very quickly recently from low stock remaining to sold out. So if you want it, you might want to act fast. Like I said earlier, I got her with free US shipping, which I think they're still offering, which eases the pain a little bit. So that's it for today. I'll see you guys, I think, next week on Rogues Gallery Live. I have no idea what my next statue is going to be. It might be Batgirl from Tweeterhead. I just don't know. I'm not quite sure. Anyway, have a great day. Talk to you soon. See you guys.